Have you ever heard the old saying, "Don't place a mirror in front of a coffin"? It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, right? But this isn't just a spooky tale whispered around a campfire. It's a deeply rooted tradition found in many cultures around the world. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and explore the fascinating reasons behind this mysterious custom. Why on earth would a simple mirror be considered so dangerous in a room with a coffin? Stick around, because the answers might just change the way you look at reflections forever. Let's start with the most ancient and widespread belief, the idea of the soul. For centuries, people have believed that mirrors do more than just show our reflection. They're seen as portals, windows to another world, or devices that can capture a part of us. In many traditions, when a person passes away, their soul is thought to linger for a period of time before moving on to the afterlife. It's in a state of transition, kind of like waiting at a cosmic train station. Now, imagine placing a mirror in that same room. According to folklore, the wandering soul, perhaps confused or disoriented, might see its own reflection, but instead of recognizing itself, it could become trapped. The mirror, with its reflective, mysterious surface, acts like a spiritual cage. The soul gets pulled in and is unable to continue its journey to the great beyond. This isn't just a sad thought. For many, it's a terrifying one. The idea of a loved one's spirit being stuck, unable to find peace, is the ultimate nightmare. This belief is so strong that in some cultures, it's not just the mirrors in the coffin room that are covered, but every mirror in the entire house until after the funeral is over. They're taking no chances. But the fear doesn't stop with the soul of the departed. There's another, equally chilling belief connected to the living. What happens if you, a living, breathing person, are in the room and you see the reflection of the deceased in the mirror alongside your own? Well, according to one superstition, this is a terrible omen. It's said that the spirit of the departed, seeing your reflection, might try to take you with them. It's not necessarily malicious. It could be out of loneliness or a desire for company on their journey. But the result is the same. Seeing the deceased in the mirror is believed to be a sign that you might be the next to pass away. It's like a supernatural invitation you definitely want to decline. This adds a whole other layer of personal risk to the situation, making people even more cautious about mirrors in a room of mourning. Let's switch gears a bit and look at this from a more psychological perspective. Grief is an incredibly powerful and disorienting emotion. When we lose someone, our minds are in a fragile state. A funeral home or a wake is a space designed for quiet contemplation, for remembering and saying goodbye. It's meant to be a calm, stable environment. Now, introduce a mirror. What do mirrors do? They reflect movement. They create depth. They can play tricks on your eyes, especially in a dimly lit room. Imagine you're sitting in a quiet room, lost in your thoughts, and out of the corner of your eye, you see a flicker of movement in the mirror. Your heart would jump, right? In that vulnerable state, your mind could easily interpret that flicker as something supernatural. You might think you saw the deceased move, or a ghostly figure standing behind you. This isn't because you're seeing a ghost, but because your grieving brain is on high alert and prone to suggestion. Covering the mirrors removes this potential source of distress. It helps maintain a peaceful, unambiguous atmosphere where mourners can focus on their feelings without any unnecessary psychological triggers or jump scares. It's a practical act of compassion for the living. There's also a deeply symbolic reason for avoiding mirrors during a time of mourning. Funerals and memorials are about honoring the person who has passed away. The focus should be entirely on their life, their memory, and the impact they had on others. When you look into a mirror, who do you see? Yourself. Mirrors, by their very nature, bring the focus back to the individual looking into them. They encourage vanity and self-contemplation. In a room of mourning, this is seen as inappropriate, even disrespectful. It's a time to be selfless, to set aside your own ego and focus on the collective experience of loss and remembrance. Looking at your own reflection can feel jarring and out of place. It pulls you out of the shared moment of grief and back into your own world. By covering the mirrors, people are making a conscious choice to remove the self from the center of attention. It's a symbolic gesture that says, this moment isn't about me, it's about the person we've lost. It creates a space free from vanity, where everyone can unite in their shared tribute. Interestingly, this isn't just a Western or Eastern thing. You can find variations of this tradition all over the globe. In some Jewish traditions, mirrors in a house of mourning, or Shiva house, are covered. The reasons are multifaceted, including the idea that prayer should be directed towards God, not one's own reflection, and to avoid focusing on personal appearance during a time dedicated to grief. In Victorian England, a period famous for its elaborate mourning rituals, covering mirrors was a standard practice. They believed it prevented the spirit from getting trapped and ensured its safe passage to the afterlife. In parts of Appalachia in the United States, there is an old folk belief that if a clock is reflected in a mirror in a room with a deceased person, the clock will stop forever. And if lightning flashes and is reflected in the mirror, it could bring bad luck to the entire household. From Eastern Europe to Latin America, similar stories and practices exist, all pointing to a shared human intuition that mirrors hold a certain power, a power that needs to be respectfully managed during life's most profound moments. It shows how different cultures, separated by thousands of miles, independently arrived at the same conclusion about mirrors and mortality. So, when you put it all together, covering the mirror in a coffin room is so much more than a simple superstition. It's a complex tapestry woven from spiritual beliefs, psychological wisdom, and cultural symbolism. It's about protecting the soul of the departed, ensuring they can find peace. It's about safeguarding the living from fear and bad omens. It's about creating a calm and stable environment for mourners to process their grief without unnecessary distress. And it's about symbolically shifting the focus away from the self and onto the memory of the person being honored. The next time you hear this old saying, you'll know it's not just a spooky story. It's a tradition steeped in history, psychology, and a deep respect for both the living and the dead. It's a fascinating example of how humanity has grappled with the great mysteries of life, death, and what might lie beyond, using the simple objects of our everyday lives to navigate those profound questions. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of the most intriguing traditions surrounding our final farewells. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more hidden histories and cultural mysteries, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue to create content like this. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious.